Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome back to my modded 1.11.2 series. Today we are going to get just a little bit evil, because we're going to play EvilCraft. And I have in my hand the Origins of Darkness. This is the book for EvilCraft that gives us all the information that we need. I got this book from a loot chest at one of the EvilCraft Dark Temples. But I'm going to show you how to get this book normally within the game. This book is really useful. It's going to tell you how to progress through the mod. It's going to show you all the different items that are available in the mod. We're going to need a dark apple. Besides the book, we do have documentation in the items of the mod. So anytime you shift over one of the items in EvilCraft, you get some kind of information like that. I wouldn't eat this. Maybe feed it to some animals. So that's our clue about what we're supposed to do. But we are going to need a book. Just a regular old Minecraft book. And our darkened apple. So we're gonna find some innocent thing. Oh, and then it kills it. And then we throw the book in there and we get the Origins of Darkness. So the first thing we are going to want to make, besides the book, is the blood extractor. Oh. The blood extractor is going to allow us to extract blood from our victims and store blood that we can use for many things. Second age. So the blood extractor holds a certain amount of blood. As you can see, it holds 5,000 millibuckets. That can be increased. We could make 2 blood extractors and put them in a crafting grid together, and it will go to 10,000, and we can do that for quite some time. We can also use the dark tanks. Now, I've got a couple of dark tanks here. Like this one, for instance, has 16 buckets inventory. I can go like that, and that adds 16 buckets to the 5,000, so it now holds 21 buckets of blood. So how does this thing work? Well, all we have to do is kill some stuff while we have it in our inventory. We kill this squid. We get the normal drops, we get some XP, and we also get, if we look at our blood extractor, a very small amount of blood. We got 130 millibuckets of blood. Now we're going to get a lot more blood from hostile mobs than we will from squids. Here we are in the deep dark, where the mobs are a little bit stronger. I'm thinking they should give us more blood because of it. Wow. Let's see. 965. Yeah, they do give us a little more blood. So the more hearts they have, the more blood they give you. Although there is a randomness to it, like they're not always going to give you the same amount of blood. In this mod, it's kind of the main energy source. So we're going to have to collect a fairly decent amount of blood. That is an EvilCraft mob right there. That fly, that dragonfly. It will poison you in the dark. See. But you get poison sacks from it, which have certain uses. We're going to work toward automating our blood production, so that we're going to have a mob farm that's going to automatically get us blood. We're also going to work toward a blood chest, which is going to allow us to repair items using blood. And we're going to work toward getting ender pearls. We're going to do it by kind of sort of spawning endermen, but not really. So what are we going to do with all this blood? I've got 8,400 millibuckets of blood. So one of the first things we're going to want to do is to make a blood infuser. And that is going to require this blood infusion core, which requires a dark power gem and some hardened blood shards. Now the dark power gem seems to require the blood infuser. Dun, 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 dun. We have a circle here, but there is a way to do it in world. Actually, and since we have thermal expansion installed, we can also use the fluid transposer. Although we're not going to be able to upgrade the fluid transposer in the same way that we'll be able to upgrade the blood infuser. But if you've already got that set up, it's a good way to get started with the mod. Now I'm going to go in the backyard because, you know, we live in kind of a nice neighborhood here, and I don't really want my neighbors to see what we're doing. So I'm just going to pour a bunch of blood in the world. I've got a dark gem. We need to pour at least 5 buckets of blood in the world. So 5,000 millibuckets. So I go like this, and we can use it just like a bucket. Now if we let the blood sit there too long, it will harden. But if it does, so the blood has hardened, so all you have to do is just break it, just like ice, and it will unharden. So we have to throw our dark gem into 5 buckets of blood, and it isn't working right now. So let's try putting them all at the same level. There we go. Oh, that's why it wasn't working, because that one had hardened. So it soaks up the 5 buckets of blood, and then we get the dark power gem. Now with this hardened blood, because as you can see, in order to get the hardened blood shards, we have to take some hardened blood and smelt it into hardened blood shards. Now, how do we get hardened blood? We can't pick this up. If we try to break it, it's going to turn into blood. So what we can do is we can take a flint and steel and right click on it, and we will get 6 hardened blood shards. So we're going to need a little bit more than that. So I'm just going to put some more blood in there and let it harden. In the future, just like the dark power gem, we will find a much more efficient way to do this. A way that's faster and more reliable, because right now we're just like, is it going to turn into blood? Is it going to take 30 seconds? Is it going to take 2 seconds? We don't know. So we just wait. There we go. Okay, so we got 11 now. Dark power gem and our shards. And make our blood infusion core. Hooray. And then we just need some cobblestone and we make a blood infuser. No, this is a really nice neighborhood and we want to keep up our appearances and stuff. So I think there's a place in the back here that we might be able to kind of hide out and hide all of our oh yeah, here it is. Let's check this place out, man. Let's see if this is appropriate for us. I think this will work. I think this will work. We may have to clean the place up a bit, but I think this is going to work for us. Okay, so here's our blood infuser. I'm going to set this down like right here. And we're going to set up a mob farm down here later on, and we're going to clean up these guys. I just put those there for fun. And so what this guy does is it takes our blood from our blood extractor or other sources. We can put a tank on top of it. We can pipe blood into it, whatever. Its blood is just another fluid. And the blood extractor is almost like bucket. In fact, we can even pull the blood back out. I hear a source of blood up above. So, whoops. So now, if we take, we need access to our stuff out here. I'm gonna get our RS system out here in a bit. But first, I think we have a blood donor. Where'd you go? There you are. It's like, I'm eager, I want to donate my blood. 514. This is dark ore from EvilCraft. If I break it, that's where I'm going to get the dark gem, and I also have a small chance of getting the crushed dark gem. I think because I have luck, I'm getting a lot more than I would normally, because I've got 4 dark gems and 2 crushed. But you'll get a lot of the stuff in the world. It was a dark and stormy night. There we go. Now we got all our stuff down here. Yay! And we got some blood in there. So now if we want to make another one of those gems, we can just do that, and instead of taking 5 buckets like the last one did, it's a little bit slow, but we'll get it faster. We'll be able to upgrade this thing as we go. Right now you can see there's only 1 upgrade slot open. It's going to take 250 millibuckets, so instead of having to take 5 buckets per thing, we can now do 4 of them per bucket of blood. This mod does have some really nice integration with lots of other mods, including Tinkers. Check that out. So we right click on the smeltery drain and we are adding blood. This is different than the Tinker's blood that we get when like we fall in the smeltery or a mob falls in the smeltery and gives us blood that we would use for like pig iron and all that stuff. This is of course the EvilCraft blood. We have a block of blood from 1 bucket of blood, 1000 millibuckets, and we can pour it into a casting basin to get well, as you can see by the 1 probe, it's telling us that the recipe is hardened blood. So we're waiting for it to harden right now. And so we don't have to pour it in the world and then wonder how long it's going to take, but what's even better still is that we can pick the stuff up. Instead of waiting for it to randomly harden in the world and then picking it up and getting a random amount, we can just throw it in our redstone furnace or regular furnace or whatever, and we will always get 9 hardened blood shards, which we are going to use right now to make blood chest. Item repairing. Oh, because we have to make one of these guys, a blood infusion core. I'm going to throw that in the system. And then we can make a blood chest. The blood chest is a really, really nice, fairly early game. As you can see, it's not real expensive, but it is quite powerful. We put blood in this guy. We're going to need a fairly significant amount of blood, but we'll see how far we can get with what we've got. And then we can grab some item that needs to be repaired, like let's say my diamond chisel. And it will be repaired. As you can see by the durability, it is being repaired right now. It is taking blood and it's being repaired. Check that out. Now there are a couple of caveats to this. You don't want to leave stuff sitting in the blood chest for any longer than you need to, because there is a chance that the blood chest will cause some bad effects, including the breaking enchant. The breaking enchant is the opposite of unbreaking. It causes items to break more quickly than they would otherwise. So now I want to start working toward mob farming in two different ways. One, I want to set up a generic mob farm using a drop of evil, so a cursed earth farm that's going to get us blood. That is going to automatically pipe into our blood infuser and whatever else. And then we'll also, of course, get mob drops and XP and all that fun stuff too from the mobs. I've got a mob farm room started back here. It's a 7x7. I'm going to dig a trench over here though. A deep, deep trench. Actually, it's not going to be that deep. It's only going to be 2 blocks deep so that mobs cannot get out of it. And then we're going to put some spikes down there. But not just any spikes. So remember the spikes that we made in order to make our blood extractor? And we had to make 16 of those spikes, but we only needed 3. Well, now we can use the rest of those spikes in order to make our spiked plates. So we're going to need a few weighted pressure plates. Let's do 4 of these. Okay. And then we are going to put those spikes on top of a sanguinary pedestal. The sanguinary pedestal will collect blood. So the spikes will just kill the mob, but if it's on top of a sanguinary pedestal, it'll put that mob's blood in the sanguinary pedestal. And I have glowstone lamps up here, which are controlled by a lever, and I'm just using vanilla redstone for that stuff. That's just so that we can turn the farm on and off, because once we put the cursed earth in here, the mobs are going to spawn like crazy, and we're not going to be able to stop. Okay, so I lowered the roof so that Endermen don't spawn. Actually, I'm going to lower those as well, but I'll get to that. I've got 2 vanilla dispensers over here. They are going to have a bucket of water each. And I'm going to be using that to push the mobs periodically. With the cursed earth, we cannot put conveyor belts on it because it will not spawn mobs if there are conveyor belts on it. And we don't have really any other way in this pack of pushing mobs. So here we go. I've got dark effable glass here so we can walk through it, and it also doesn't let any light through. So if we turn off the light, we'll see that it's completely dark. It's all zeros. And when we turn the light on, I've got them spaced so that we're perfectly covering the entire area so we don't see any numbers there at all. We do have a mega torch nearby, so we don't have to worry about stuff spawning out here, but as soon as we put cursed earth in here, things will spawn. And then I've got 2 dispensers, vanilla dispensers over here, each with a bucket, and when we hit this button, of course we're going to have this automated, it's not going to be a manual button. No matter where you stand in this room, you end up down here on the spikes. Hooray! That's what we want. Oh, we may want to put these blocks there, but whatever. And then we hit the button again, and the water goes away. So we're going to have a sequencer set up here that like every, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds or so, is going to pulse a redstone signal on and then pulse it off. And that'll cause all the mobs to fall down in there. Here's the moment of truth. We've got a drop of evil. I'm going to turn the lights off, and boom. Hey, it doesn't make a big scary noise anymore. So now we see stuff is spawning in there. But no endermen are going to spawn because it's only too high. Okay, so now, actually I'm just going to turn the light on for now so that nothing new spawns. And then I'm going to turn the water on for a second. For a few seconds, I guess. And then turn it off. Nice! Everything's dead. So we've got mob drops, we've got XP. Oh crap, we need a way to get XP. Okay. We'll use Actual Additions for that. And our sanguinary pedestals have blood in them. So you can see this one has 480 millibuckets. So they all have blood in them. So we have automated blood. Nice! So now we just have to do some pipes and stuff from here. I forgot about spiders. Spiders are not going to fit down here, so we're going to have to widen this a little bit and add a couple more pedestals. Actually, I'm going to break that. And I am using XNet to move stuff, and we'll take a look at that setup in a bit, briefly, although we're not really going to get into XNet, but I'll show you what I'm doing with it. And then 2 more spike plates. Let's just see how this is with the water going to... Oh, yeah, right. Minecraft water stuff. What I've got here is a sequencer from RF Tools. I've got it set to loop 3, which means loop the cycle when redstone signal is present. But basically what it's doing is, as long as it has a redstone signal, it's pulsing every once in a while, and then it pulses and turns it off. Oh, there's a spider in there now. Let's see what happens. But I have it, I have a 10 tick delay, so that means each step is going to take 10 ticks. Would you guys be quiet? Alright. We've got a spider in there, so let's just see how this works out. Of course, spiders will get stuck from time to time, but I just want to see that they actually can fall in there. They're not falling. Okay, they're not falling at all. Darn it. So there's a 10 tick delay for each step in the loop. So the first step, it's going to pulse a redstone signal that's going to turn the water on, and then it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, well, this many steps until it turns them off again. And then it turns the... Oh, it worked. Okay, so we'll get the spiders eventually. They'll hang around for a while, and then it'll get them. Oh crap, I still need to take care of this stuff. Take care of items and XP. We're going to use actual additions to do both of those. So cool. So this is now automated, and as you can see, we have quite a bit of... Okay. Oh, and I put a single bit here, so that prevents the water from acting funny. So the water thinks that this is a full block, but yet spiders can still fall through. So that's how I solved that problem. I've got the sanguinary pedestals down here, and they all have XNet connectors that's going to allow us to pull the fluid out. And then I've got the XNet pipes running over here. I've actually got a completely separate XNet network over here for this setup. Let's just do that so that we have less light going. Well, now we have more light going in there. And then I've also got XNet cables going into this dark tank and this blood chest so that we can fill them up with blood. So I'm just going to set up a fluid channel, and I'm going to say we're going to extract from all of these. And we're going to insert into that tank. So we should actually see blood in there already. Yay! The dark tanks are like one of the nicest things that this mod has that could be used for any mods. These are just tanks. They're tanks that can be used to hold any type of fluid. The smallest tank holds 16 buckets, 16,000 millibuckets. If you make it with blocks instead of these items, it then holds 144,000 millibuckets, and you can combine them. The same way that we did with the blood extractors, you could just put a bunch of tanks in a crafting grid, and the total of all of their capacity will be added up to the new one that you're crafting. And then we can just right click this guy and it'll extract. I mean, it'll drop into whatever's below it. And you can actually hold these in your inventory too. I made a ranged collector, and I am now making an experienced solidifier. We can now afford to do this. This requires 2 empowered diamantine crystal blocks. So you may remember in that last episode that we auto-crafted this stuff, so now it was pretty easy for me to make. Hooray! So I'm going to set the stuff over here. The experienced solidifier, if you don't know, will actually pick up XP orbs. So the ranged collector from Actual Additions it's like a vacuum chest, except that it doesn't pull items. It actually kind of teleports them. So it can grab items through walls and such. So we can change that to blacklist mode. By default, it's in empty whitelist mode, which means it won't pick up anything. But if we set it to blacklist mode and we have an empty blacklist, which makes sense, right? If we have an empty blacklist, that means it's allowed to pick up everything. Hooray! And then the experience solidifier, I'm just going to put right here. And I'm going to put all my experience. Oh, actually, I'm going to put that experience back in there. And now, let's get this guy running again. Mob farm is working perfectly well right now, and all of our items are being pulled into our RS system. Using XNet, I've got XNet pulling from the range collector and just dropping into this chest over here, and then because I've got my RS network over here already, so then I just put an importer on this chest. So now that we have all this blood, I have one thing that I really want to, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to do with the blood, like for instance, repairing items. I like my diamond chisel. Look at that. See, it just sucks up some blood, which is coming out of this huge tank. This tank holds 144 buckets, so we have a lot of blood right now. Although we're going to be using a lot of blood. In fact, we may even need bigger tanks or more tanks or whatever to do what we're about to do next. So what we're going to be working toward is a spirit furnace. And what a spirit furnace is kind of like a mob spawner. It spawns a specific mob and gives you the drops. It's actually good for servers because it doesn't really spawn entities in the world. It just kind of pretends to spawn the mob, and then it gives you the drops. Alright, you guys, I've had enough of your noise. Uh-oh, we're going to have to meet some Minion Spirits. So, that means we need the Vengeance Ring. If we right-click the Vengeance Ring, or shift right-click the Vengeance Ring, we get speed boost. Or we get a jump boost, we get speed 2, we get invisibility 2, and haste 2. But all these Vengeance Spirits start running around us. So this would be great, like if you want to do a quick mining run or something, because, yeah, or whatever, you want to get somewhere quickly. But you are going to get knocked back a lot by these Vengeance Spirits. And they could be of any mob types, so we don't really know what these are. But then with that Vengeance Ring, we're going to make a Vengeance Focus by putting the ring inside the same recipe. Right-click to enable a Vengeance Spirit Freezing Beam. So this is going to allow us to move Vengeance Spirits around. And where we really want a Vengeance Spirit is inside a box of Eternal Closure. Local brewery. Hooray! Alright, I've got my potions of weakness. And there we have it. Box of Eternal Closure. When we get our box of Eternal Closure, it does have a Vengeance Spirit within it. Just a generic Vengeance Spirit, I guess. We can set it down, we can right click it, the Vengeance Spirit comes out, it hits us, ow, and then it dies. Oh, look at the inside of that. Oh my god, that is trippy, man. So when we have a Vengeance Ring, and we kill a mob, a Vengeance Spirit appears. The Vengeance Spirit of that mob. Put down my box of Eternal Closure. We'll have that ready. We have our Vengeance Ring ready. And now let's kill this guy. Come over here. Alright. Okay, so his Vengeance Spirit is going to appear. And we have to direct it into that box. Yay! We did it. Wow, that was stressful. Okay, I got my Enderman, but I put my Vengeance Ring away in my Traveler Sack because it does get a little annoying after a while that every time you kill a mob, a Vengeance Spirit spawns. And now we can start doing some fun stuff. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make a Spirit Furnace. And this is going to be a little bit expensive, so we're going to have to do some upgrading of our blood infuser. And we're probably going to have to produce a lot more blood. So to make the Spirit Furnace, we have to make the Spirit Furnace block. Easy enough. It requires these dark blood bricks. And then we're going to have to make a whole bunch of these dark blood bricks in order to construct the Spirit Furnace, because the Spirit Furnace is a multi-block structure. So to make the dark blood bricks, we're going to need a Promise of Tenacity 2. In order to make a Promise of Tenacity 2, so that is going to be an upgrade that we're going to put in this slot. So to make a Promise of Tenacity 2, we're going to need a Promise of Tenacity 1, because we have to make a bowl of promises, strength 1, and a gold promise acceptor, both of which require a promise of tenacity 1. So that's kind of how the upgrade process works in EvilCraft. You start with the promise of tenacity 1, you go to 2 and 3, and then there's a couple of upgrades that you can give the spirit or the blood infuser that will make it faster, the promise of velocity, and more productive, the promise of productivity. So that makes it more efficient. So first of all, we're going to make a promise of tenacity 1. In order to do that, we're going to need a bowl of promises of any strength, and we're going to need an iron promise acceptor. And these things all need a lot of blood. So we're going to be using a lot of blood for this stuff. And then when we finally do get the upgrades done, we're also going to need a considerable amount of blood. For the blood bricks, each one requires 1 bucket of blood, and we're going to need quite a few of them because we have to make a structure that's large enough to hold an enderman, essentially. So it has to have a 1 by 1 by 3 interior. So the footprint is going to be a 3 by 3 by 5. So first we need a block of iron. And I'm going to put that in here. And we're going to need our bowl of promises. The bowl of promises starts with a bowl of empty promises, which starts with 3 dark power gems, which we don't have any of. So we're going to grab 3 dark gems, and we're only going to have to make one of these bowls because the bowl gets reused. You fill it up with empty promises, and then you fill it up with promises. And oh, you can do that in a fluid transposer. Look at that. But you can only do the first level in the fluid transposer. So there's our iron promise acceptor. Oh, and we get XP for that. Nice. I'm going to put our 3 dark gems in there. So you can see we're already using a considerable amount of blood. In fact, we might want to get some mobs spawning back here. Okay, there's 3. So there is our bowl of empty promises. And then we take our bowl of empty promises and we give it some crushed dark gem. And then we have a filled bowl of empty promises. And then we put that in here without any upgrades at all. And that is going to get us a strength 1 bowl of promises. And that is going to require, let's see, what is that going to require? 5,000 millibuckets. So 5 buckets of blood. There we go. There's our bowl of promises, strength 0. Now we can make our promise of tenacity 1. Hooray! So that is our first blood infuser upgrade. Oh wow. And now it can store 40 buckets. Wow. Okay, I thought I had a much bigger tank there than I did. No wonder it filled up so quickly. I was kind of wondering. It seemed like it filled up really quickly. But now this thing is full. So now that we have the promise of tenacity 1, we can add other upgrades if we want to. We can now take our bowl of promises, our bowl of empty promises, ended up in our system. So we can fill it up again. We're going to be doing this a lot. This is going to become a very familiar process. And I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to get another block of iron. And then we're going to get a block of gold, because we want to speed this thing up a little bit. So I've got our iron promise acceptor. I'm actually going to use this to make a promise of productivity, because our bottleneck right now is not going to be this thing. Our bottleneck is going to be the production of blood. So it's actually going to save us more time to be more productive as opposed to more fast. So now we can put this in here. We can actually stack a bunch of those in there. That is going to increase our machine blood efficiency 1.5 times. The iron promise acceptor is supposed to take 10,000. It only took about 6,700. So now I'm going to put another one in here. I made another one. So we're getting a filled bowl of empty promises. It's supposed to take 5,000. So it took about 3,200. This gold that we're going to need to go to tier 2, to our promise of tenacity number 2, it's supposed to take 40,000 millibuckets. So it's going to take our entire contents of the blood infuser. But because we have 3 promises of productivity, it's not going to take quite that much. It only took 16 buckets instead of 40 buckets because we have 3 promises of productivity. That's nice. Okay, so now we just need one more bowl of empty promises, and we'll be able to upgrade to tier 2 and start making our blood bricks. But now, to make the blood bricks, we do have to make a bunch of dark bricks first. So according to my calculations, we're doing a 3x3x5 structure that's going to be hollow in the middle. So that means we need 42. We're going to need 42 blocks. So let's see. This makes 4. So we're going to need about 11 dark blocks. So 44. And we only need... Oh, wait. Actually, we need 46. That's right, because we need 4 for the spirit furnace itself. Oh, and that's going to take up 1 block. So we actually only need 45. So we only need 1 more. So I guess we have to make 48. And we can now make our Promise of Tenacity Tier 2. So we have just done our second upgrade. Yay! And we used 1 of our 3 ender pearls that we have left. And then I'm always just going to fill this up right away because in fact I'm going to fill it up right now. Oh, and now when we add our Promise of Tenacity 2, we get another slot open, and we now hold 160 buckets of blood. So I'm adding 1 Promise of Velocity. This is going to double the speed because, you know, it's pretty slow. So let's just throw our bricks in here and see how they go. All right, we're done. Yay! I did put another speed upgrade in there like in the middle of this so that it would go faster. All right, there's our blood infusion core. And there's our spirit furnace. Yay! Mob chef. So I cut out the wall over here. I'm going to put this block, the spirit furnace block right there. Actually, the reason I'm putting it there is so that we can access it from underneath, because that's where we would do our input and output. So this spirit furnace block can be anywhere. And then we're going to do a 3x3. And we're going to keep it empty in the middle, because that is where the mob is kind of going to spawn. And it needs to be tall enough for an enderman. So 1x3. That's why we have to do it this tall. And as soon as we complete it, it's going to glow. We must have forgotten. Oh, there we go. It's going to glow. And it doesn't matter what size the box is. As long as you make any size box, it's going to glow, because it doesn't really know what we're going to do with it yet. Now, if you do it the wrong size, actually, I should show you that. Let's say we only do a 1x2. Like, if we were going to do a zombie or skeleton or something like that, this is the size that we would need. That's not what we're going to do, but just for demonstration purposes, if we do that, and then we right-click on the spirit furnace, actually, you can right-click anywhere, because now it's a multi-block, and we put our box of eternal closure that has the mob that we want to spawn, and remember, we caught the enderman in there, and it's going to say, contents size is 1x2x1. So that's the empty space in the middle. Required size is 1x3x1. So if you're not sure what the size is, it will tell you what the size requirement is if you don't make it big enough. So now we're going to put this in here, and we can see that it is now ready to spawn enderman. But, of course, we've got to get some blood in. We're extracting from the tank. We want to insert into the blood furnace, or the spirit furnace. Insert. Okay. So there we go. It's doing stuff. Yay! So it made the enderman noise, and it gave us some enderman drops. An ender pearl and a nebulous heart. We've got ender pearls for days, man. Isn't this awesome? Like, we've been struggling for ender pearls since the beginning of this. We now have 6... now have like more ender pearls already than we've had this entire time. Hooray! Although it was, you know, it took quite a bit of infrastructure. We had to get this mob farm set up so that we had enough blood flowing in. And we do have a net loss of blood right now. It has the same upgrade path as the blood infuser. We can make this thing way more efficient so that it doesn't use as much blood. And we could also make it a lot faster. I want to turn this off so that we don't have any blood coming in, because I just want to see how much blood it's taking to make a single ender. It is exactly 10,000. Okay, well, that's good to know. So for 10 buckets of blood, we get an ender pearl and whatever drops you would normally get from an enderman. Cool. I've got 4 promises of productivity now. So let's see what it takes for one. Okay. Just over 37, almost 3,800. Nice. A nice little FYI. The nebulous heart that we saw earlier, it's a player-only drop. So this thing is picking up player-only drops. The only thing we're not getting is XP. Or, well, of course, blood, because it's using blood to spawn it. Wow, man, we've got mob drops coming in, pouring in like crazy, including player-only drops. Not only is the Spirit Furnace giving us the player drops for the Enderman, but we're also getting player drops from the spikes. So if we look at, say, catalyzing glands from creepers, these are a drop we get from creepers that we're eventually going to need in order to make the creeper charm, which I'm definitely going to do because that makes creepers ignore you. We're going to need about 36 of those catalyzing glands, and we're getting them. We'll definitely have enough soon, so we will soon no longer have to worry about creepers. We're not quite producing as much blood as we're using, but that's okay, because this is the only thing we're using blood for right now, so that's fine. We'll work on increasing our blood productivity in the future. You know what? We could do something right now. We can upgrade our sanguinary pedestals. Actually, we should do that. We can upgrade them to this, but we are going to need a lot of power gems if we want to upgrade all of them. There, they're all upgraded to efficiency 1. Oh, let's turn this on. There's 2 of them now. We definitely have a net gain right now. We have over 40 buckets, and we're continuing to produce ender pearls and everything else. So this is awesome. So we're just getting started here with EvilCraft. I think we're off to a pretty good start. In the next episode, we're going to dive really deep into XNet, and one of our tasks is going to be to come back here and set up some logic to automatically turn on and off both of these mob farms based on what we need. So I do hope you join me for that. Of course, if you do have any questions at all about anything we did, anything we didn't do, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And of course, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching.